lot of bass, a lot of bass.
Sounds different.
That sounds like the bar
What?
That sounds like the bar I used to go to when they played a good song. You felt like the sound working probably.
Let's, just for giggles, right? That's Rihanna on Throwback Tunes. But let's come on.
There's your battery in.
Go down here that everybody and their cousin probably has had. Now, this particular hoedown was, at the time, probably the best-selling hoedown in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s. And this particular copy of it is a digitized copy from a vinyl that I did, okay? And so, what's that going to sound like through a high-quality speaker? I'll find out.
It's got a good bass to it, doesn't it? Now, if you don't want too much bass on that, all you gotta do is go in there on your bass. Still got it there. I got that bass set at probably 930 on the top there, on the dial there.
Now,
Right.
keep it playing.
Okay. Now that's a half jack.
Half of a director. Interestingly enough, this little turkey sounds quite a bit better. Then we have this thing that we don't know what it is.
Now let's go back and bring the bass back where it was. Not as quite much bass as the Fender, or anything like that. So
Yeah. One thing that you will absolutely find, if you're working behind any speaker that's putting out any kind of bass whatsoever, it's going to sound very, very, it's kind of like sound like the trunk of the car. But as soon as you get on the other side of the speaker, you realize, oh, this is the end that's important. Okay? Making sound choices is a good thing.
there you go.
Yeah. Making sound decisions without having some idea of either having walked the floor yourself or having somebody that you really, really, really trust out there, doing it from the stage, a lot of times it might make you feel more comfortable, and it might entirely have unintended consequences to the dancers. So we tried them all now?
Yeah, I think we have.
Yeah.
So I quite ask you all, you're all square exposure. Have you ever come across a hall that the sound is just not there? My first experience, I was at doing the Minnesota State Square and Round Dance Convention up in
Minnesota.
Minnesota, but way up off the Lake Superior.
Grand Parade.
Grand Parade. And they had us sounding our curling hall. If you ever sound a curling hall, you can sit there and clap and it'll echo all the way down. Well, we listened to some of the callers up there that had sounded before.
We're
They
talking
said,
about curling now. This is
So-
better than that sort of thing.
so they said just half yaks all the way up and down the side of it. We did that, and I did everything on this thing. I even went out to this hardware store and bought burlap sacks to put in front of the speaker so I could deaden the sound. Didn't work. So I decided to do it at lunchtime. I decided to take one half yak, put the far end, and use that. And if you have a hall that's hard to sound, the less sound, the better. The better, because, you see everybody, they want to put up 3 yaks, and they got a big gymnasium, they want to put up 3 yaks, and they sit there and say, this will be doing it, and it still sounds like crap. One speaker would probably do it just as well. If the height of a speaker determines how much you're going to do. There was another instance up in Minnesota. We were in a big ice rink, and this guy came in with a, yeah, they came in with, it's in Duluth, and they had a big ice rink, and they said, bring one speaker in. I was a little apprehensive about this. And he had a little bracket, and he hoisted that speaker up where it was sitting down there, and it was sitting on top, it was like that, and it was up in the ceiling. One speaker took care of that whole ice rink. One speaker took care of that whole ice rink. And the placement of speakers is essential, where you have to go with yaks that I find. The higher you can get them, the better off you are.
Till you're taking them
One more thing before I get off my subject. I'm old. I got that CRS thing. Can't remember. Yeah. But also too, I've gone to festivals, and I've seen a stage, and they have yak stacks on the front of the stage, and on back they got a big stage, like a 12-foot stage, and then on back, by the back wall, they got the 2 half yaks out here. Should never do that. If you're going to set up a festival with 3 or more 3 yaks, you want them right in line, right along the back wall, and as high as you can get them, depending on the size of your hall and that stuff. And then, so, go ahead.
Yeah, and what Bob's talking about is he's making some assumptions that maybe not all of us are aware of. We're talking about square and rectangular halls. If you get into round halls, or if you've ever been in Bakersfield, that famous Octagon Hall, or Orchard Center down there in Southern California, those tend not to follow any of the rules. But here, the bottom line is, if you point a speaker, I don't care which one of these, point a speaker, and it's going directly towards a flat surface. Okay, and let's say there was a stage here, and we had that yak, about where John is, okay, and that yak pointing toward that wall, it would echo in here. Now, it wouldn't echo as bad as it would be if this was a wood floor or a tile floor. And it wouldn't echo as bad as if this was just a ceiling rather than some architectural things there, which this room is designed to be a quiet room.
Quiet room.
Yeah. So step one in idiot-proof sounding of things is, one, make sure that whatever you're plugging into whatever amplifier you got is not going to blow it up. And the simple way to do that is to make sure you're using the proper load. Okay, everybody's got a pencil, write this down. Damn. Okay, so I want you to take.
He's got a photogenic memory. He'll remember everything.
Brian Bears will tell me how to do this. Okay, so what you're going to draw is a fraction of all things. Okay, I want you to draw on the top row of the fraction R1 times R2. I want you to put a line underneath that. R1 plus R2. Now we'll go to D2. You'll take a line and do an R1 plus R2 plus R3. Dot, dot, dot. Okay, technical. It is technical. The second one is series, the way you hook things in series. Okay, series, the advantage to them is like Christmas tree light bulbs. One goes out, they all go out. Okay? To figure the impedance, if you're using a speaker of a known or a trusted particular impedance, let's say you have a 8 ohm Fender speaker. I trust Fender. It's going to be somewhere in the vicinity of 8 ohms, pretty close. So if I were to, let's say I want to use 3 speakers, and I put them in series, so I'd have 8 plus 8 plus 8. That's 24 ohm load going back to the amplifier. When what that's going to do is that's going to make that amplifier work harder for the same amount of volume level. So perhaps I would hook those up in series. Barry, you have to do the math on this one.
Just wait a second. He said work harder. So where you would have a normal yak say here, volume at like 7 o'clock, something like that, you would have to have it up to 9:30 or something, correct?
Something.
So it'd take more power for you to drive them speakers and that stuff. So the more ohms going into the amplifier, the more volume control you have to use on your volume knob. The less ohms, the less volume you use, but you can't drop below 4 ohms. And just real quick, not to put a plug in for Mr. Cody, he's got this handy dandy little meter that you can buy from him, that you can plug into your speakers and find out what kind of ohmage is coming out of them speakers. And by golly, I've got one, and it works super. Go ahead.
Cool. Can you do that top of your head? 3 ohms, 3 8 ohms in parallel?
In parallel?
Yeah.
2.6.
2.6. So, if I'm going to use these 3 speakers, and I'm going to use an MA220, am I going to want to give the 24 ohm load to this 220? Or am I going to want to give the 2.6 load to the 220? 24, why is that, John?
Below 4 is going to.
Because below 4 is going to do really bad things, including cooking it. Mr. Hogan.
I'm lost.
Okay.
Totally lost.
Totally lost.
You just told him 8 and 8 and 8, he came up with 2.6.
Yeah.
There's a fact, there's a number in here.
Did you write
I'm a
that?
math guy.
Did you write that formula down?
Which one? R1 times R2 over R1 plus
Yeah,
R2?
just put an R3 on there.
On the top or on the bottom?
Yes.
Yes. You know what?
No.
I just did general math in high school.
R1 times R2 times
Times
R3.
R3?
Yeah. Over.
And then,
You're right.
and then over. Okay, then I can do the math.
You want the plus over multiply.
Well, let's see. 8 times 8 is 64 over 8 is 8 ohms. No, you want the multiplication top. Yeah. Hi.
The R stands for resistance.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
It does.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm trying to go like.
It also, and by the way, resistance is it resists electrical current. What we talk about in ohms for speakers, it's an impedance, which is resistance to AC voltage. And meters are helpful, they are not gospel.
Give them the formula, R equals.
Ohm's law? Yeah, it's R equals something over something. What is it, R over I over C or something?
If you get confused, ask Scott Bennett. He is an electrical engineer. But going on, this is the parallel Y that he was talking about, that we have. If you want to, I'll pass it around, but if you want to, but everybody should know what a parallel Y is. And then Series Y. This is Series Y, straight from Hilton Audio Products. This is probably the old Hilton Audio Products. But with the MA, you can run 2 sets of full yaks out of here with this little thing right here. You can run 2 full sets of yaks, come out of here with this, hook it into one speaker going out there, put them 2 in the full yak, and do the same with the other end. You got 2 full yaks. But there we go back to the ohms. On your volume knob, you're gonna run. If you run normally for 1 yak, if you run normally 1 yak at 7 o'clock on your volume, does everybody understand when I say 7 o'clock on the volume control? So if you run 7 o'clock, you're going to go up to about 8:30, 9 o'clock and that stuff to run the 2 full yaks. But that's no problem.
What is the 30?
9:30?
It's
kind of like
she
use this.
She
use
is
this
young.
point.
She is young.
Use
They
this.
used to make these clocks.
Use this. Yeah.
They used to make clocks.
It's halfway. It's halfway between 8 and 9.
Oh.
On the
Yeah.
face of a
On the face of the clock, on the face of the clock. That's okay.
And that's okay, Dan.
And that's okay.
You also have cursive.
She's my favorite school dance caller from Indiana.
Who are you?
I'm Teresa.
Teresa Berger, Teresa Berger. She didn't know where 9:30 was, but that's okay.
Did that
Teresa.
solve your?
That's on tape.
Okay.
No.
Good.
Okay. Hey, Mike is having trouble how we came up with those two, is Casey gonna explain it to you? Yeah. The formula for series is merely adding up each of the, trying to take my medicine.
Time to take his medicine.
So, it's up in the room. It's adding up, when you run in series, the impedance of this speaker plus the impedance of this speaker plus the impedance, and just on it goes. And that number keeps getting larger. In parallel, depending on what you got set up there, that number tends to get smaller. Okay?
Well, I understand, I now have,
Somebody knows what you're talking
the
about?
actual equation,
That helps.
but I didn't know what the ohmage value was for each of those.
Oh, okay.
Plug it in, that Barry was able to come up with 2.3 off the top of his head.
2.6, pay attention.
The easy way, when the speakers all have the same impedance,
Right.
is you can just divide by the number of speakers.
Right.
But that's only if they're the same.
Like I said, I have trouble with numbers, so all I know is the way I do it, I don't blow any of my stuff up. So, and that stuff, if you stick to that principle with this coming out of your MA, if you got MAs, if you got a regular turntable, you could put 8. If you use like a 500 or a 205, you come out of here with the one of these on the main and one out of the monitor. You could put 4 full jacks on a 205 or a 500.
Or any other amplifier. Because what you have to do is you have to wire these things such that when, the end of the day, you're getting greater than 4 ohms coming, presenting itself to the back of the amplifier.
Casey's got a question.
Well,
Only if you tell us your real name.
my name is Casey Curtis, and don't you?
That's not right.
That is right. It's legal. I'm from Portland, Oregon, and when you're, what's the difference? Why do most callers, the national callers, want yaks over other speakers? That's my main question.
You want to start that off? You want me to?
Probably the same reason that McDonald's sells more hamburgers than, say, a local chain.
Hot dogs.
Familiarity. You know what because, we all know that if there's a Hilton and a yak stack, we know exactly what to expect.
It's going to have a halfway decent sound. You're not going to.
Yeah. The nice thing about this yak, this thing, prior to this, we were using folded horn, 16 ohm guitar speakers, okay, essentially. This was the best compromise ever built for square dancing. Well, all of them are portable. But this thing here has poor bass, poor treble, it's portable, and it sounds okay. And if you look at the grill on this thing, it's what they call extruded. Expanded means you point it this way like the old Hiltons did. This is extruded, so you got one little bubble coming out this way, one little bubble coming out that way. So what that accomplishes is there's nothing coming straight out of the speaker. It's all going that way or that way, which is why you can stand in front of a yak and not get feedback.
I use directors more than anything else because I have small halls too.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
but
nice thing about the directors, okay, nice thing about the directors is this speaker here is pointed that way, that one's pointed that way.
Microphone.
My microphone.
Here.
Microphone. The top speaker is pointed, in this case, to the right, left, and then the bottom set is, it's either backwards or the same. But anyways, again, there's nothing coming straight out. You like that, Sandy? That's pretty good, huh? There's nothing coming straight out of it. This thing here, woofers very seldom feedback. You literally got to, do something like that. It has a horn, high-end thing here, and this particular one's got some kind of baffle in there. But what that does is it gives it a high-end dispersion of somewhere about that angle and about this angle, okay? But you see what's a common thread here is all these speakers in different ways are directing the sound not only straight forward but also left, right, and to a lesser degree top to bottom. Okay.
All right, I'll take this, we'll switch.
We're gonna, in a minute, we're gonna do something. We're gonna go play the same song, we're gonna go through all through them, and we're gonna vote to see what we like. Teresa,
Okay, so I have a question.
Question, you're Mike.
Mike, this is Teresa, who have never seen a
Teresa Berger.
Details. So you showed us these cute little adapter things. Is there any reason I have one yak stack and I run it out of my record player? Is there any reason I need a cute little adapter like
No.
that? Okay.
If you have one yak, and you're using the one yak, or you're using two yaks,
Yeah.
run the speaker cord out of one of these, run it right straight over your yak and plug it in, you're gonna be good.
And I can do that.
You can do that.
I have 2 cords.
No, just,
Two cords be the same as that.
yeah, 2 chords would be the same.
I would do this.
I got a Y
Go to
would be
Walmart.
better.
Well, she's splitting up her.
Are you splitting up the yak?
No, I stacked it.
Oh.
You stack it?
Yeah.
Okay, you run 2 cords out there.
What about
But
coverage?
you're not coming out of there with 2 cords, are you? On the back, 2 cords?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because the back jacks of these things are wired in parallel.
Parallel.
Yeah,
But I've seen them,
yeah.
I suggest not doing that.
So I should have 1 cord that runs from my one slot to
And one
the
of the-
speaker and then plug that thing in to plug it in.
Right.
Do you enjoy carrying an extra cord? If the answer is no, then, yeah. By the way, Wise, you cannot tell by looking, all right? The Hilton Wise, the Series Wise, if they still have their little sleeve wrap on and it says Hilton Series Wise. The other kind, which never were built by anybody, Radio Shack or somebody, they don't make too many of the Series Wise that look like that are configured that way, but they make them. Yes.
Okay, there was a question here about hearing enhancement. And so we're going to touch, we don't have any hearing enhancement here with us. We're going to touch a little bit about wiring up a hearing enhancement. And a lot of people sit there and say, look at the back, this is my personal MA220. This is especially made for me. If you are recording, there's a high and a low back here in the back. You can record out of that, it'll bring out voice and it'll bring out music. But you have to test it out first to see which one you want to have. If you want high volume or low volume, so you have to know with your recorder, test it out and find out which is coming out, and it sounds better for you, okay? All right?
High on those are roughly RFB line level inputs. They're not quite, but they're roughly that. Low is roughly microphone level inputs.
If you're hooking up a hearing enhancement for your hall or anything like that, more callers nowadays are going to getting hearing enhancement. On the front of these MAs, you have an output and input for voice. Your output should be used for your hearing enhancement because for hearing enhancement, you don't want music going to the receiver. You want voice going to the receiver. So that's where you would go to your voice. And on your turntables, there's what?
Not necessarily, your round dancers want voice and music.
Then they're,
Talk for the
then
same
how
way.
can you determine put the different voice levels? And you must have the expensive systems that can separate.
The receivers that we do have has a a button that you can have both hearing and voice and music, and you just shut it off if you don't want the music.
In that case, on a 220, there's on the front panel a music out and a voice out. You would want to take those to your transmitter, and then whatever manner that the
See, on this one,
hearing
it's
enhancer
got,
does.
on this 220, it's got voice and music out, and you can do that with your,
You can wire that too,
system.
Bob.
What?
You can wire that and control the music and the volume from the front, where, how much music you get, how much voice you get.
Okay, good, good. All right. I'm done with,
Actually, you're not. We want to talk a little bit about if you have to slave an amplifier
Slave
to
an
another amplifier.
slave and amplifier.
Now, if you got old ones, AC 300 anything and back, it's real easy. You take a 1/4-inch jack out of the tape recorder on the back of the thing, you put it into mic 2 on the amplifier it's slave, turn that tone control all the way to bass, and then just bring up that mic until the levels are the same. It's different with these.
It's different with these. You come out of the high or the low, and I think it's the low.
Probably high.
Probably high. And I think depends on your, you just test it out. You either high or low, and you come down just like to your mic channel and turn your bass all the way off, and then have somebody go out and you're gonna have multiples. If you're slaving something, you're gonna have multiple speakers, all right? So go out and have somebody out on the outside. Usually what I do is I run the speakers on the stage, on the main unit, and the slave on the outside speakers. So you go out and have somebody walk the distance, and when you're walking a room with a speaker, and you should have well, if you got a good ear, you should be walking along, say I got a speaker here and a speaker here, and there's a halfway point. If you can get between halfway and you're hearing both speakers, that's where you should be.
You should never hear the speakers change.
Right. If you're over here and you're almost right in front of the speaker and you're still hearing that speaker, you need to put this speaker, turn the speaker down, and then, so where you're in the middle, you got the same amount of volume coming out of this speaker and out of this speaker coming to you. So, any questions on slave?
Yes.
Yo, Dennis.
Yes.
It's Dennis Farrar, but
And he-
I'm not walking back there to get
I
this
know.
microphone.
Okay, here, you do this, old man.
No,
I'll do that.
he's coming out here. See, I got him trained.
I might be old, but I ain't dead.
I have to,
Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona. Can you hook a slave, instead of using the microphone, to one of the inputs that you would put your computer in the front and use that?
Not the computer.
Nope.
Not the computer, I'm sorry.
Use
The
microphone.
yeah, the 220.
The 220?
Yeah, you can come out of the music out on the back of the,
You
I mean,
can-
music and voice out.
Yes.
And you could put it into the music.
Into the music,
But
okay.
then you would have to take those little trim pods.
Right, right, that's how it was, yeah. So if you don't want to go into the microphone, you can go into the other one in
Right,
front.
right. But you're not using that speaker underneath, that turntable underneath, so put it in the microphone. Put it in the microphone. You're not using the slave, thank you. You're not using the slave underneath, so put it into the microphone and that stuff.
Casey Curtis again. I have a cuer that I work with that wants to use their own turntable. He's 300, and he comes into my 150. And when I wasn't on the stage, he plugged it into one. Oh, pop.
Simple rule.
Yeah.
Square dance and simple rules, in my opinion, this is Rick Hampton's humble opinion, and those don't happen very often. If you are a professional square, round, and whatever the hell else we do, entertainer, and you want to use your own stuff, bring your own stuff, hook it up to your own stuff.
Right.
If you are working with someone that is not having all their things or doesn't know how to work their stuff, that makes me very, 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 very nervous.
people that work with me on the sound, I make sure they know what they're doing. I go through and watch, I double check, we set up a hall, and I'll go back and I'll double check and make sure everything's set up right and that stuff.
Yeah, sadly, it can't be foolproof because fools are quite ingenious.
Okay, I started slaving him into number 4 speaker. Just out there, just number 4 microphone. Is that okay to slave him in that way?
From the tape out on the back?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Okay.
Dennis Farrar, Sun City, West Arizona again. I don't see any Linrons up here.
Sorry, don't have any.
They're out of business.
I know they are, but I have a set. I wish I had 2 more. Anyway.
I'll tell you what,
and
if I
Mike,
find somebody I know where I can get
let me
rid of
know.
them.
But Mike Priceman's.
I'll show you that fender chip.
No. Mike knows what I'm talking about. I did Red Rock Ramblers and was staying with a caller by the name of Bob Gunn in the Denver area. And he said, I think you need to take one of my yaks. That's a big hall. Mike knows what I'm talking about. It's a big gym. And it's a high stage. It's a deep, high stage. And what I did was I just set my Linron up on a table at the end, like right there, and it was going straight out. And the cuer come up to me and he says, is all the music coming out of that speaker? I said, yeah, that's the one that I got, because I told Bob, I want to see what this thing will do. I just bought it, and I wanted to see, well, if I blow it up, I guess I can get another one, but it worked for the whole hall, that one window. Like you said, the less sometimes is better.
And then the thing, it just shows that he likes Linrons. I'm not.
I know Ron, but I haven't met Linda though.
So,
All right, I'm gonna walk, there's a bunch of people that haven't said anything. Hi there, Eldon.
How are you doing? Talk to us, Greg. Well, I was Eldon Graham from Stanbury, Missouri. I was wondering if I'm getting this right. I can set the speakers up in a series like they are right there and use my Y at the speakers, right? With one cord going to them, use the wire to wire at both speakers, or parallel.
one speak, one wire going to the speaker.
Right. Or I could split them behind, in the back of my unit, and run a wire to each speaker and separate them. And that'd be the same.
Electrically, they're identical.
Right, okay, that was, thank you.
Okay.
Behind you.
Bruce.
Behind you. Right there. Red shirt.
Bruce Buckby, Dundee, Illinois. I use totally different speakers for most of what we do. My wife is the caller, but her voice is much nicer than mine. I use a pair of Klipsch bookend speakers. They're 8-ohm speakers. I come out of the back of the 150, the 220, one out of each side, and I really do, I do 5, we do 5 squares in that hall that Bob was doing with one half yak.
So you don't have any problem with your 220 kicking off on them?
Not wired that way.
Not wired that way.
Not yet. I mean, you can certainly use 2 8-ohm speakers with a 220. You just have to know that you're getting very risky wiring them in parallel, because you're getting, on paper you're right at 4 ohms. In reality, the impedance varies by the frequency, which means, generally speaking, you get a little more impedance at lower frequencies and considerably less at higher frequencies. So, if you were to wire those 2 in series, it'd be peachy. Here's Rick Manning.
Rick Manning, Westminster, California. Most of you are older callers, have probably been around a while, but I'm fairly new. Explain to me how to hook up somebody's Hilton 200 to, say, the MA150 or 220, because there's still some of those callers out there that have FIDO.
Sorry, no guest tips.
You missed that.
Yeah. What you would do in that scenario, you would put the 220 up and assume, what is he calling your 700? No. I would assume that it is an infinite load when there's nothing plugged into it, and then take a,
Yes, that's true.
is that true on the old 295s and those things?
The 220.
No, I'm talking about the AC200. Oh,
He probably wouldn't know about the AC 200.
yeah, probably not.
There's Paul. Hey, Paul.
Paul, if you know, do the AC200s and 300s, do they have infinite output when there's nothing plugged in? Paul says he's not that old.
Okay, Paul's not that old,
Yeah.
so.
And my recollection is that they do, and then in which case, and I can't fathom why you would want to do this. You take the tape record out of the 200, plug it into the microphone jack of whatever you're putting into and turn the tone down the bass.
Just 2 cents here.
Yes, say your name.
Paul Cody, Golden Audio Products. My suggestion to you is, as long as he's still here as a resource, please take advantage of Dick Bull. Yes, she's the end of the line of people who actually built and worked on turntables along the way. After he's gone, there is nobody else that knows. When I took over the business, Steve and I said we can take over from the MA amplifiers on, but we don't have the mechanical knowledge to know how the turntables work. So Dick Bull is still running Hilton Repair. That's not an advertisement. Okay, if it's a turntable.
If it's a turntable, he's running.
He runs his own little business out of his home, and he's the one source that knows everything to do. He probably built that amplifier for you.
Probably.
Yes. Needle. Yeah, it's a needle in a record. Okay. So reach out to Dick Bull, HiltonRepair.com.
I got his telephone number.
Dick's he's getting a little long in the tooth, so don't wait. Okay? I mean, I'm not saying there's an imminent crisis.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is,
Call Dick, he's gonna throw.
Is he's not going to be here forever.
He's not here, is he?
No.
Okay.
But I'm saying reach out to him.
Hear the tape.
Yeah.
Thanks, Paul. My wife, I'm gonna give my wife Lynn the microphone, and she's gonna go down and pass it to whoever, especially the people that look like the fellow there that's trying to be quiet. Okay? And I will be right back.
Brian Freed from Minnesota.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, I'm gonna ask this question and.
I'm gonna try to answer.
Thank you. Let's say you're halfway through the dance, and I've got my MA1, by the way, that is my MA1.
No, it isn't, it's Chris Jensen.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Nice, but like, we're
Mine got stolen then.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yours blew up.
Okay.
They maybe blew it up in Chris Jensen's seminar.
Thank you.
You're halfway through the
You're
dance.
halfway through the dance, and all of a sudden you can fry an egg off of your amplifier.
Then you have.
Okay, now, what is, can you give just one piece of, okay, should you unplug a speaker, should you unplug one of your speakers, should you unplug both of your speakers, should you just say, I'm sorry, I can't finish the dance?
Unplug one of your speakers, take a nice long break, and plug in one speaker left. You know, if you got a half a yak, take that one cord and put it on, because something has messed up inside of your yak stacks, putting a low ohms to your hilt. So if you're halfway through a dance, you're just gonna take one speaker away and that stuff. So if you've got one speaker and that's the same thing, you have to call out and say, is there another caller in the area that's got another speaker that I could try? That's the only thing I can tell you. Because when you heat up and it shuts off, that's you're below 4 ohms. And like I said before, I'm not the smartest tool in the tool chest, but I know enough not to get my stuff blown up. I know enough to where I don't blow it up or anything like that. So, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay, I've got one right back there, Dennis.
Yes. I have heard many times about the MA 150s and, I don't know, 220s running hot on various speakers and even with the yaks. But I use my Linrons with my 150 and have never had it overheat. You can put your hand right on it.
Another advertisement.
I did the same thing, my 220, and put it on there and it worked. Now when I go do Mountaineers, and they're dancing in Denver area, they'll hook, well, they don't dance there anymore. They used to dance in a gymnasium. I had my Linrons, but then they set up a yak stack. So I put a Series Y in because none of them work until you put them together.
Yeah.
And I had no problems. But, you know, again, if you're overheating, I know what to tell
We
you.
gotta finish up here, it's 5 minutes till. If you're ever in Tucson and you're calling downtown at the Tucson,
They all use
dance
that.
hall, better bring a Series Y with you because they got 4 of them up there, and I don't know who wired them up, but they wired them up wrong, but, better bring a Series Y with you, so. Any other questions? One. Oh my gosh.
Real quick, I'm Lynn Webster from Twin Cities, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I have a question. On your computer, there's a little button you can push that has like a sound thing, and you can raise the sound on your computer or bring it down. Where should I have that set to enhance my?
I tell you what, hand that mic right to your right, and Mr. Barry Johnson will answer that.
Generally, you'll probably want it between 70 and 100%. Okay, towards the top, not necessarily at the very top. Yeah. Bob, do you just want to mention one thing? I've heard, not here in this room today, but I've heard other places of particularly cuers that suggest plugging 2 different amplifiers into this one speaker. You want to speak towards that?
Never plug 2 amplifiers into one speaker. It will blow a turntable or blow an MA really quick. Don't know the technical reasons, I just know by experience, it'll blow.
Because the other amplifier has virtually no load.
Right.
So yeah, trust
So-
me, impedance way down and you'll blow your set.
So with that in mind, I want to thank you all for coming out this evening. I hope you got something out of it. Appreciate y'all coming out. Y'all have a great rest of the convention, and we'll see you at supper tonight. Thank you.